So, hello everyone.
Hi.
I'm here with TypingDNA, with Christy from TypingDNA.
Thanks.
Thanks for making it. Just a second. Please, first things first, tell us a bit about what you guys do. I mean, I know you're quite famous, but I still want to make sure that nothing's changed because startups tend to pivot a lot. So I want to know if you guys are doing what I still know you've been doing like a year and 2 years ago and so on.
Yeah. Basically, what we do is we recognize people by the way they type on their keyboards, and we use that to authenticate a person. For example, when you log into your online banking account or a crypto account or let's say Facebook or whatever. But even if like you do payments with your credit card, when you type in your credit card details, we look at how you type that. We don't know what you type, only how you type, and then compare that with some previous enrollment. It's like on your phone when you enroll with your fingerprint, and then later on you authenticate that. So you compare those fingerprints. It's the same with typing. And basically what we do is we reduce like security fraud and identity theft this way. So banks and or also universities, when they want to make sure that their students don't cheat, then we like provide them a score that says, okay, we think this is 90% the same person, or it's not the same person based on how he types. And then the bank or let's say university or whoever else takes action based on that to allow the person to enter or not.
Okay, so it sounds like it's not just for logging in, it's also for, like you just explained, for universities or for banks or for other, let's say,
for example, chatbots.
Industries. Yeah, chatbots.
It's dynamic texting. It's not the same text every time. It's different. So basically, in the future, like my generation and younger kids will use more texting than just talking with people or whatever. But they will do a lot of like texting with the chatbots to say, okay, I want to transfer this amount of money to my friend. And then based on that, you can authenticate the person with the typing and do the transaction safely.
Okay, sounds like it's going to be everywhere.
Sorry?
Sounds like your technology will be everywhere.
Hope so.
In terms of typing. You mentioned that you only analyze the way people type. You don't have access to the content. That sounds a bit too nice to have, if you ask me. How does that work exactly?
Well, basically, we have three types of the way to record the typing pattern. Types that record the content, types that don't. Of course, if you know the content, you have better accuracy in general. But even if you don't know, I mean, the typing that the recorder that is looking at how people type is a particular type that does not look at what it types, only at timings. So it knows that for this text or whatever you type, it should have this amount of timings between how much it takes you to press one key, to release it, and then to reach to another key.
Okay, but does it take me the same amount of time to type letters as it takes me to type numbers, to enter spaces and break points and so on? Because, I mean, I understand, but if you don't know it's a space, maybe it takes me longer to press than something else. How does that work?
Of course. Not people type the same, like exactly the same timings. It's like, even if you like playing in a band, it's hard to like keep the rhythm sometimes. So basically, even the typing is not exactly the same, but that's why we have an AI model behind that looked at very many different typing patterns and is now able to match those typing patterns, even if they are a bit different. But if your typing behavior is extremely different, of course, it cannot recognize you. It's the same with the iPhone. If your like fingerprint is a bit wet, the phone won't recognize it, right? So it will fall back on like the security code.
Exactly.
So basically, in that case, you can ask the person to type a bit longer, because if he types a bit longer, or the same thing again, you have a full picture of the typing pattern, and then a better picture actually. And then you can have the chance to let him pass. But if not, then some just rely on other authentication. But the thing about typing is that it's very user-friendly. So it will be like a first layer, because anyway you type in, let's say, username and password or credit card. And if the threshold is not enough, or you type very different, okay, send me that SMS. But why to send the SMS to everybody each time? You can reduce the amount of using the other second factor layer because of something that you already do. You type it.
And that makes perfect sense. So also optimizing costs and usage of third-party tools because you can analyze typing and already make a decision based off that.
Yes, that's true.
I like that. And how much, you mentioned how much I have to actually type. How much do I have to type right now? I mean, how much do you guys need me to type before you know it's me? It's like 1 word, 10 words, 50 letters, how much?
It starts from like, let's say your username and password, like email and password, regular email and passwords. It starts working with one previous enrollment. This is like actually a breakthrough in this technology. And then the more enrollments you have on the same thing, it's like in fingerprint when you have to put multiple times. Yeah. If you have multiple position of the finger, it's get better, right? It's the same in typing. If you have only one enrollment, it starts working pretty good. And if you have multiple, then it increases in accuracy.
I see. So the more I log in or the more I write, the better. Or the better I write different things or just the same thing?
It depends on the use case.
Okay.
In a chatbot, it will be different text every time, right? So we have a solution that's for the same text, like username and password, which is always the same until you change it. But that's one API, and then we have another API for different text, which each time the text is different. Like when you chat with somebody, you don't type the same thing.
Exactly, you
so
write
it
different
works
things.
with both.
Okay, that sounds very good. I think this is a working product, right? You guys have a working product that's available. Where do I use it? How do I even know when it's being used on me?
Yeah, well, basically, it's live in production. It's an API for developers and whoever knows how API works. But basically, you can already use it. We have like a free account with people can test it like 1,000 authentication each month. So this is actually our go-to-market strategy, like go to developers and make things very easy for them to build something and then showcase to their boss and say, okay, I think we can prevent this fraud or like this amount of money using other two-factor authentication. But for regular people, what we built an extension, it's a Chrome extension that kind of replaces the authenticator. I don't know if you're familiar with Google Authenticator when they send that code to the phone. Basically, we build an authenticator in the browser, and then it verifies with your typing to make sure that it's you, and then it gives you the codes. So basically, regular people can use that and see our technology, how it works, doing that, having that Chrome extension. But like in daily use, a company will have to let know people that it's using actually the TypingDNA in the background. Basically, what we built is like a diagram that when you type shows like visible, let's say timings and stuff like that. It doesn't reveal the actual typing, but it will kind of let you know in like user flow that it is looking at your typing, but it can be hidden. We don't recommend companies to, make it super invisible and don't let people know because that's against like privacy concerns. So you have to kind of let people know that they are going to be also verified with typing, and it's also good because you can scare hackers.
Okay, so you mentioned that there's some kind of a, let's say some kind of animation, right? That shows me your API is kind of like analyzing my writing.
Yeah.
That's there, but companies can choose to hide that if they want.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and you also mentioned privacy. Okay, it's important. How are you being affected by, the famous GDPR in Europe? Is it affecting you in any way?
Well, basically we were before it actually it will be like next week enforced. But we were already like being pretty compliant with that, with just few adjustments, because via our API, the customers can already delete the user's data. So that's one thing that GDPR says. You have to allow your customers or user delete their data, right? So basically, our API already allows that, and of course we will make it even easier to do it via the user interface, but basically that option is already available. Then we have to update some privacy policy contents and let people more aware, but it didn't affect us that much because we already wanted to be like pretty um, we didn't like wanted to be in the shadows and we advise our customers to include the fact that they will also register the typing biometrics, and it's a personal trait actually, and yeah, basically we are covered.
So you advise your customers, they advise their clients, so you're
Yeah.
pretty much covered. You mentioned that there's the opt-out, basically, right, that I have. As an individual, I could opt out of my profile from TypingDNA, or do I need to go to my bank who's actually using your service and ask them to opt me out? How does it work?
Uh, I'm, I, I don't know exactly the flow, but basically the bank, I mean, usually with whom you interact with as a end user, to that you require. Of course, you can also come as a customer to us, as end customers of the bank, to ask us, but how do we make sure that it's you, even if it's your typing, we have to make sure that it's so the credibility cannot just transfer because somebody else could ask to remove your typing patterns from our solution, you know.
Yeah, so it's pretty open if I just go and say, please remove me from this, and
Yeah.
you don't know it's me. That makes perfect sense, actually. Okay, so what industries are you like literally working in right now? Where do you have clients? What are your current clients doing?
Basically, we started with some low-hanging fruit customers, so we don't like die in the first years of our startup. So basically, we started with online learning. So when students take their online exams, universities that gives actually a degree, especially in the States, want to make sure that it's the same student. So basically, they proctor those exams online, and yeah, we have that covered, and we work with one of the largest proctoring company who only does like proctoring for universities. So that's our first sector, like online learning. We are starting to take off with online banking. So when you log into your internet banking account or when you do transaction on your phone or stuff like that, we are making progress there. So basically those two, but in the future, like we want to cover everywhere you like do authentication. You do like typing to get in somewhere, because password alone are not safe. Password plus typing in is much safer than only username and password. And then you can also combine with other factors, but that's our mission. Like everybody should protect their like username and password credentials with something more than just those. So basically, it's a very big market because we use authentication for everywhere you like log in or do something.
Okay, you're right. So you mentioned like e-learning as industries and banking, getting into banking. Can you tell me a bit more, like when you say e-learning, are you talking about like commercial companies or like in universities or both?
Both, basically.
So you're working with both right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So how old is TypingDNA?
How old?
How old, yeah.
Well, basically the research started like in 2014. Then the company officially formed in 2016. Then we got the funding from Jack Adventures from Bucharest and some few angels like Adigan Gare and many others. Then we attended Techstars this year in New York, which like makes us more credible to customers in the States. That's one thing. And then yeah, basically, and we will like raise some more money to extend the team.
Okay, so you mentioned a few things now. I wanna go into it a bit more.
Sure.
First of all, you mentioned the research started in 2014.
Yeah.
Is there some kind of technology or algorithm that you guys are planning on patenting or anything?
We are thinking about it right now. I mean, it even changes so fast that something that we built like 2-3 months ago, it's already obsolete. So basically, we want to have like a patent when we think it's like, okay, from here on you cannot improve that fast, that quick, and then the project is like, okay, more patentable. But in the same time, we don't want to. I mean, it is let's say a fight between making it patent or just trade secret, because sometimes you don't want to make a patent because everybody will know how you do it, and we have customers who says, I tried your solution compared to some competitors, some similar solution, and I find yours twice more accurate, right? So if we make a patent, then others can also
You expose all that.
Yeah. So we are still debating what to do about that, and we have to see.
Okay, you mentioned competition, right? So what's your competition like? How crowded is the space?
It's not that crowded already. I think it will be in time, and not only on typing, like all the behavioral biometrics. It's like how you hold your phone, how you interact with your phone, and all that stuff can be used to authenticate you. So that will be more crowded in the future. So basically, in the world, there are like about 10 companies who do and have some typing biometric solution. But most of them, like their like go-to-market strategy is to go like top-down. You know, like have a lot of salespeople go to banks. Okay, we have the solution. Ours is a bit more different. It's like B2D. It's like how Twilio or how Stripe does. So it's more open to like the developer community, and this way you can scale up a lot faster because developers will talk between them and say, oh, "Look how cool this is," you know. And also you have to like pay less because you have a lot of inbound traffic, you know, than just going like B2B.
I think I was at I was at a different talk recently. I think you're doing what UiPath is doing as well in terms of sales strategy. So going not top down but somehow bottom up approach. So
Yeah.
you mentioned that developers are your main interest at the moment. How's that going? What are developers asking you when you tell them about TypingDNA? What's their first question?
Well, basically, I don't know exactly the first question in their mind because they have all the resources online, like they have the documentation and stuff. What we kind of find like to be the first question after they tried it a bit is like the particularities of how the typing patterns is recording, like the difference between when you type the same text, like username and password is always the same, and different text like the chat, when the chat is different each time. So there are some particularities that they can be a bit difficult, but yeah, that would be like the first question. That after they tried something, but I don't know.
That's after they try it.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions before they try it? Like any?
Basically, they are curious how it works, like in the background, what if it has like an AI, is it like really that accurate? Like, is my typing the same each time? Of course, it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close, and our model can detect that. And then, of course, developers get more excited when we tell them, okay, it's an API, so it's very simple to integrate, and also you have a free account. You can, if you have a small project, you can, and then when you scale up, we have to also make some money.
sounds very developer focused indeed,
Yeah.
with the API and everything.
Yeah.
So the plan is that developers will start using it. They'll push it up towards their clients and their company.
Yeah.
That's a very good sales approach, to be honest. Can you tell me a bit more about also you mentioned you got an investment from some angels here in Romania and from Jacad, which is great. And then you went into Techstars, and
Yeah.
yes, come on, it's a bit of a topic that you were accepted, and I'm just curious, maybe if you describe a bit the experience in Techstars and maybe some of the major takeaways you guys got from it.
Yeah, well, basically, yeah, we really enjoyed being there, even like having fun and just business-wise. what you will encounter is like they have a really large network. Even if at first I didn't necessarily believe it, because a lot of, let's say, companies or like investors say, "Oh, we have this network," and then you can get disappointed. But they really have a really good network. You can get intros to like, be it customers, big customers, or like investors, or just mentors. Like you can get in touch with a tech evangelist at Amazon so quick. So that helps a lot because they can get you warm intro to somebody, and that weights a lot because it's even like how we met. You got an intro from Mircea, and then I was more receptive to that. So you have this network which is very strong, and they have like deep. They know a lot of people, and they talk. Even if somebody doesn't know, they know somebody who knows somebody, and so yeah, the network is very strong. Then they are really like hands-on. So different from other accelerators that they have these mentors that they invite, and they're really hands-on to like help you, not only advise, they also make intros for you. They also put in touch with their investors if they have to. So basically, they help you a lot, even during the program, after the program. Right now, like we're talking with a lot of investors, so they help us to be more effective, and also nudge investor if necessary.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. You also mentioned other biometrics that may be interesting for businesses to measure in the future, like how you hold your phone and what you do with it. Are you guys also thinking about getting into that, or will you be staying exclusively on typing biometrics?
Yeah, well, basically, it's like Tesla does a lot very good electric cars, right?
Yes.
But they did not do electric excavator and other stuff. Even
Yet.
if it's even if it's like they are very good at battery powered machine. So that's kind of similar to us. There are companies and there are possibilities to do like on mouse and like the way you interact with the mouse and the way you interact with the phone. We might tap into that, but not at this moment. I think, and even our customers really like it, our technology, and they find it like very good compared to other typing solutions. So basically, we want to be like the first on that. So our focus is on building that, being like the best. In the future, it might be, but look at Amazon. Even they sold books like for decades, and now it's. Eventually, they stepped in different industries, but they didn't do that until like in the last 5 years.
A very interesting example you gave with Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's basically what I wanted to ask. One last thing I'd like to ask is anything major that's going to happen, like within the next 2 or 6 months. Anything we could expect you guys to release, do, attend, anything.
I can't think necessarily of something. I think the challenges and what we want to do next is like get this more mainstream. Like let developers hear about this. That's why actually one of the reasons why I'm here, to like become even more viral. So we have to build that community of developers loving the product. So technology is good enough. I mean, we heard it from customers, we heard it from investors. Everybody says, okay, technology-wise, you guys do great. So you don't have to necessarily do major releases on the product side. Of course, make it more easy to integrate and stuff like that. But yeah, we have to work on that virality.
Sounds like you guys have a lot of sales and marketing, more sort of ish to do.
Yeah.
Marketing for developers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting challenge. Okay, that was it from my side. Thanks for accepting this interview.
Thank you.
Best of luck, guys, with the product,
Thanks.
and let's see it be used everywhere.
Cool.
Thanks a lot.